The company that may have caused the global pandemic through their experimentation on bat coronaviruses have been given more money to experiment on bat coronaviruses. Is that what you want?
Thank you for choosing Fox.
No, here's the news.
Hello there, you 6 million awakening wonders. Thank you for joining us on this voyage towards truth. I hope you will join us as well over on Rumble, where we stream every single day at these times for 1 hour, where we take a deeper look at the stories you will not hear on the news, as well as making jokes about stuff that is on the news, where we have guests that they won't allow on mainstream media, where we hopefully ask questions and answer questions that you will not see anywhere on the mainstream. Join us there every day, Monday to Friday. But also subscribe here and turn on your notification bell here. We'll continue to put these videos here, but the content goes up first and it goes up live on Rumble every day. Now, what did we learn during the pandemic? One thing I learned is it's definitely a good idea to do gain-of-function research in laboratories in Wuhan on what happens if you take a disease in a bat and make it much, much worse. That we need to do more of for sure. Maybe it came from a wet market, maybe it came from a laboratory. There is no conclusive evidence, and I'll let you know why there isn't any conclusive evidence in a minute in this story. It's going to knock your little socks off. One thing we could perhaps be a little circumspect about is giving additional funding to the very bodies that may have caused the last coronavirus pandemic, pending evidence that is currently being withheld. Let's get into this startling story. This is exactly the kind of story we need to bring you. Questions that are posed here are the very questions that, if they remain unanswered, leave out in the open for us all to see the hypocrisy, potential collaboration, and lack of transparency of organisations like the NIH, the US government, Big Pharma, the mainstream media. This story shows you all of it. Don't take my word for it though. Here it is. You decide. Let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments what you think. US health officials have given a controversial research organisation another $650,000 grant to experiment on COVID-like viruses, despite fears that similar risky work may have actually sparked the pandemic. Is this a place where democracy could be at work? Would you like to be given the opportunity to vote on whether or not you, in particular you, care about if there's ongoing gain-of-function research? Because they'll have an argument for it, won't they? They go, no, we're doing it because in case in the future there was ever a pandemic like this, we would possibly have a vaccine for it. Yeah, well, the thing is, you might cause a pandemic while doing it. Yeah, but we'll have a vaccine for it, so because it makes it look like the motivation is financial rather than health-oriented. You cannot have a health industry and a pharmaceutical industry that's goals are predicated on financial outcomes. Otherwise, what you'll get is a warped system where people do irresponsible and risky things in the pursuit of profit. That's what I think. A way of regulating that could be assemblies of ordinary people like you, like me, regulating and voting. Eco Health Alliance, it's ecological, it's healthy, it's an alliance. Is it ecological? Well, yeah, we get bats and that and do experiments on them. Okay, is it healthy? Is there an alliance? There's certainly an alliance, all right. Run by British zoologist Peter Daszak, funded studies in Wuhan on manipulated coronaviruses. Such research, known as gain of function, can see viruses deliberately engineered to become more dangerous to humans. What's not to love about that? Do you know what I don't like about this virus? That it's contained to bats. I don't like that. That's what I don't like. Make it more dangerous and have people get it. Oh, bloody hell, that seems like the last thing we'd want. Depends what business you're in. The grant was awarded on September the 21st and is titled Analysing the Potential for Future Bat Coronavirus Emergence in Myanmar, Laos and Vietnam. I'd say the potential is pretty high if there's any labs there. But even worse, if they got wet markets in Laos. Yeah, we love them there. It's where we get all our fish and that. Whoa, careful! You'll get bat coronavirus. Well, also, this lab's just started up where they're doing novel bat gain-of-function research. Don't worry about that. They're good as gold, them lot. They've got a great history. Watch that fish. Oh my God. Oh, God. There's coronavirus noise coming out of its dirty bum. What's that armadillo thing in a cage? This market is disgusting. The new grant comes despite an open congressional investigation into the organisation, which has 2 other ongoing NIH grants and a third in negotiation. In August, the NIH terminated a sub-award to the Wuhan Institute of Virology that had been part of an earlier grant to Eco Health Alliance, telling the House Oversight Committee that the organisation had refused to turn over laboratory notebooks and other records as required. Why would they refuse to hand over laboratory notebooks and other records as required? And if it's a requirement, just do it. Oh, you thought that those notebooks contained information that might lead you to conclude that our experiment led to the outbreak of this pandemic? Those notebooks were planned for a surprise party for your birthday, which we were going to hold down that stinking wet market until we found out how dirty it was and full of coronaviruses. Well, there'll be no surprise birthday party now. Forget about those notebooks. You're just like your father. The NIH has requested on 2 occasions that EHA provide NIH the laboratory notebooks and original electronic files from the research conducted at WIV. That's the Wuhan Institute of Virology. To date, the WIV has not provided these records, the NIH wrote to the committee. Why not? If you ask, listen, we're a bit worried about that pandemic and everything, you know, when everyone in the world had their life ruined and that, except for, I suppose, it was good for billionaires and for the pharmaceutical, but aside from that, that's irrelevant. Most people, like grandparents dying, not being able to see babies born in hospital, economic opportunities, ruin of business, inability to travel, all that stuff. Just wondered if you could help us, because, you know, it came from Wuhan and that, and we're pretty sure it came from that disgusting wet market, pooey. But could we have a look at your notebooks and files and that, as you are required to give us? No! Right, well, God, I can't think of any real reason why you wouldn't do that. Well, never mind. Here's some more grants. Why don't you do some more research for us? Be more careful this time, eh? Within weeks of terminating the Wuhan lab funding, the NIH awarded the new grant. What's the point in taking away their grant and then giving it back to them again? It's not a back and forth relationship. Don't give them any more grants. You know what they're doing with those grants, don't you? They're messing around with back coronaviruses. You know what's just happened? You looked out your window lately. The aim of the new research is to identify areas of potential concern for future pandemic emergence in order to help public health authorities suppress an outbreak before it breaks containment. Well, that's what they were doing last time. The problem is the rewards for them are extremely high. Evidently, look who did well in the last pandemic. And the risks, they're not punished for anyway because they're not being forced to release the files which could lead to proof of culpability. So that's why those things are happening, it seems to be. Let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments if you agree. But the process of performing the research introduces the risk of sparking an outbreak that would not otherwise have occurred, a concern highlighted by The Intercept last year. And also, everyone in the world. Like, hold on a minute. Was this caused by you seeing what would happen if you deliberately make back coronaviruses more infectious? It potentially could be that. We're withholding the files. It also could have come from that lab leak. There's no certain conclusions yet. Well, to reduce the risk, stop doing those experiments. Yeah, but then what if there is a pandemic? Then we'll have a vaccine ready. Yeah, but then there will be a pandemic because you're causing them! Allegedly. Virtually every part of the work of outbreak prediction can result in an accidental infection. Ridden with risk. It's riddled and strewn with risk. Right. First of all, let's get the bat. Oh, fucking thing bit me. Right, now let's make it a bit more infected with coronavirus. Oh, you little bastard. Let's pop to the wet market, get a little fish sandwich. It's disgusting here. Oh, bloody, I'll get out of here before I catch something. Right, better transport this bat to laboratories all around the world. Oh, stop, will you stop coughing? What's wrong with you? It's as if your virus has got one. It's the whole thing is ridden with risk and driven by profit. That's where systemic problems underwrite the practical realities of potentially what caused this pandemic. And also, I think more generally, warped ideologies within pharmacology. It shouldn't be profit-driven to the degree that it leads to irresponsibility, where it leads to drugs being marketed that are unreliable, where it leads to experimental procedures that are unnecessarily risky. And if you start to say, well, unnecessarily risky is a sort of a subjective term, how about incorporating someone other than self-contained regulatory bodies into the mix, into the conversation, into the process? Wouldn't you like a say in whether this happens? That's off the table. No one's asking you if you think they should give grants to these people. I tell you what I think. They shouldn't. They shouldn't give them any more grants. They should stop that process. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. I really enjoy this guy's videos. He's brilliant, isn't he? But wouldn't you like even more of him? As you know, we are streaming every day on Rumble at these times. Now, if you are a fan of our podcast, Under the Skin, you've got to become a member of Stay Free AF. That is our community where you get even more fantastic content as a member. We're creating more free content than ever and better paid for content than you could ever imagine. We've already done interviews with Vandana Shiva, Wim Hof, Gabor Mate, Noam Chomsky. Coming up, we're going to be speaking to Donald, Bernie, Elon. I'll give you the surnames once we confirm the interviews. All of these interviews will be available on Stay Free AF, as well as my stand-up special that's going to drop in December, our community film, and opportunities to join me for live events regularly throughout the year. Stay free as fuck. There's a link below to join. Even with the best of intentions, which I don't think they have, scientists can serve as vectors for the viruses they hunt, and as a result, their work may put everyone else's lives on the line along with their own. The new grant proposes to collect samples of viruses from wildlife and then rapidly supply viral sequences and isolates for use in vaccine and therapeutic development. Oh yeah. Likely meaning that the researchers could ship live viruses around the world. Bloody hell, they can't even look after it in one lab in Wuhan without kicking off a global pandemic. Allegedly. You don't have them shipping this stuff all over the globe, do you? Them clumsy clots that are unaccountable that won't give over their notebooks. There's private things in there. Oh, I've written a poem about my boyfriend. There's pictures of what I like to do at bedtime in there. Fuck off. It's disturbing that additional funding continues to be awarded for the same high-risk research that may have caused the current pandemic before there's been a national investigation of the origin of the current pandemic. If only just had a pandemic, don't cause another one, said Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist with the Waxman Institute at Rutgers University, referring to EcoHealth's multiple ongoing grants. It is disturbing that additional funding continues to be awarded to a contractor that the NIH has reported to have repeatedly and seriously violated contractual terms and conditions of a grant. If you keep violating a contract, don't give them any more contracts. The lack of specific lab records pinpointing a specific accident or mutation that led to the emergence of the novel coronavirus has been used as evidence to discount the possibility of a lab origin, but without access to the records in question, such evidence is unattainable. You've got no evidence at all that I've done a poo down my pants. Would you mind if I had a look in your pants? What are you implying? Well, I can smell something. In early February 2020, many of the scientists who today are the most vocal advocates of a natural origin theory joined a conference call with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Fauci, I've heard of him. And then NIH head Francis Collins. Ahead of the call and in notes afterwards, they expressed varying degrees of concern that the virus may have originated in a lab. Fauci and Collins, who controlled a large portion of the global funding streams for scientific research, discouraged the pursuit of the theory. Why? Why would they discourage the pursuit of that theory? What harm could it do? What have they got to lose as scientists thoroughly investigating what would seem to be one of the most significant areas of scientific inquiry in modern memory? Vanity Fair reported in June of last year that Daszak personally organised a February 2020 statement signed by 27 scientists and published in the influential British medical journal The Lancet, almost as if he had a vested interest in one particular outcome and one particular narrative, which for a while became the dominant narrative. At the beginning, you might not remember this anymore, at the beginning of the pandemic, you literally couldn't say this. I know I'm saying this with some little dumb Wikipedia thing below me right now. If you're watching it on YouTube, watch it on Rumble, they won't have one. But at the beginning, you couldn't even say it. That's censorship. Why? Was that censorship? Do you think that, oh no, we don't want your nan getting a cough? What? How does that help? Misinformation. What? Is it also possible that you're protecting corporate and financial interests at a global level and that you have alliances between big tech, big business, big media and government? Is that a possibility? No. This is about your nan's cough. Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. Do some more coronavirus research because I'm so concerned about my nan's cough. Obviously you are. Let's get that research done. The statement, which deplored the lab leak idea as a conspiracy theory, included the signatures of 6 scientists who had either worked at or been funded by EcoHealth Alliance. Conflicts that, along with Daszak's ties to the Wuhan lab, were not disclosed. We should tell you, by the way, that we all work at that lab and 6 of us are funded by that lab. But here's our opinion, our unbiased opinion. It's not coming from that lab. It's come from that stinking, dirty little wet market. The lengthy report published in Vanity Fair, based on dozens of interviews and more than 100,000 leaked internal documents, detailed how EcoHealth operated in a world of murky grant agreements, flimsy oversight, and the pursuit of government funds for scientific advancement, in part by pitching research of steeply escalating risk. Well, whether it's steeply escalating risk, murky grant agreements, or flimsy oversights, the EcoHealth Alliance is the company you want in control of very, very risky coronavirus pandemic-causing potentially research. I don't think that. I think that they shouldn't be given grants ever again and that those notebooks and files should be handed over. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think in the chat. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either of these. Remember, we stream live every single day on Rumble. We dive deeper into these stories. We get experts on subjects like this. We give you the news that the news won't give you. Sign up to my mailing list, turn on the notification bell and subscription so you never miss a YouTube video, but get over to Rumble. That's where it's at. Stay free.